it's Mrs. Thomas Moore again, and I'm here this week because we are in week 7, day 1 of our distant learning. And this week we're going to be talking about graphing. That's right, we've talked about a lot of things so far. We've been talking about patterns last week, and this week it's going to be graphing. So, before we get started, what are we going to do? You know it. Math and movement. And today what we're going to do is what I call elastic energy counting. You know, elastic, like a rubber band. So we're going to be stretching. So what we're going to do is we're going to be skip counting by 5s. And so we're going to stretch our body way up to the sky with both hands. And we're going to say 5. And then we're going to reach down and touch our toes. And we're going to say 10 there. So we're going to count all the way to 50 using our elastic energy counting. So let's get your bodies ready. Are you ready? Let's go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Super job. We just went all the way to 50 counting by 5s. Now, I know you at home can count to 100 by 5s. So when you need a little energy, you can do our elastic energy counting and count by 5s all the way to 100. Now that you're all energized and ready to go, what do you see in my picture here? What do you see there? Did you say words? I do. I see words. What else is there? Some numbers are there. What are those words and numbers on? What do you think we call that? We call it a table. So that's a table that has a lot of information. It has information about cereal, and it has numbers that tell us how much iron those cereal have in them. And so when we talk about information that's in our table, we call that our data. So now we have a table and it has data in it. How do you think that data got in that table? We had to collect it. That's right. We had to collect the data, and we had to find out all those cereals like the Cocoa Puffs and the Corn Pops and the Cheerios and the Fruit Loops. And we found all those cereals, and we looked at the boxes, and we looked to see how much iron each of those had. And we put that in that table. So now when we look at that table, we can see data that we collected. Oh, I want you to remember those words: table, data, collected, because those are all vocabulary words that we are going to be using today and this week. What do you see right here? That's right, they're blocks, and they're all different colors, but they're lined up so that they can see how many they have of each block. So that's kind of a object graph. That's what we call that, an object graph. Another word I want you to remember for what we're going to be talking about. So we talked about our table having data that we collected, and now we're looking at an object graph. And the object in this graph are the cubes. So when I look at that object graph, I should be able to tell something about that graph. So let's look at the green cubes. Can you tell me how many green cubes we have there? What do we have to do? You guessed it, we have to count them. So if we count those green cubes, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 green cubes. So we just got some more data from looking at our graph. Now let's look at the purple cubes. How do we find out how many purple cubes we have? That's right, we got to count them. So let's count the purple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 purple cubes. So now we have 6 purple cubes. So by looking at our object graph, we have seen that we have 4 green cubes and 6 purple cubes. So now we just talked about a lot of stuff, a lot of words there. So that leads us right into our learning goal. And our learning goal for today is I can collect and organize data in categories to form a simple object graph. And all of that ties into our SOL K.11, which says that the student will A, collect organize and represent data, and B, read and interpret data in object graphs, picture graphs, and tables. And today our focus is going to be more on the tables and the object graph. So are you ready? Let's look at these objects. What do I have here in my hand? Can you see them? Gotta hold them up. Can you see what those are? That's right, they're markers. They're markers. So we're going to create a table to figure out what kind of markers we have. Okay, so right here on my chart paper, I've already started the table for us. So I labeled my table with the colors of the markers I have. I have yellow markers, purple markers, orange markers, and green markers. And right here, we're going to put a mark down every time I show you a marker so that we can figure out how many markers we have in all. And then, guess what? We're going to create an object graph with our markers. So, all right, I'm going to hold up the first one, and you tell me what color it is so I know what to put. What color? That's right, yellow. So I'm going to put one mark on my yellow graph, on my yellow table under the yellow color. What color? Green. So I'm going to put one mark on the green. What color? Purple. We put a mark under purple. What color? Yellow. Another yellow. What color? Yes, another yellow. What color? Orange. Super. What color? Purple. Oh my goodness, you know your colors. Purple. What color? Yellow. What color? Purple. What color? Purple. What color? Green. Almost got you there. What color? Orange. And what color? Green. Super job. Super job. So if we looked at our table here, we could tell how many we have of each color. So let's see. Yellow. How many yellow do we have? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many purple do we have? Count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how many orange? 1, 2. And how many green? 1, 2, 3. Now that we've collected our data, we've got it all organized on our table, we can put it on, that's right, you said it, on a graph. So now we're going to make our object graph with our markers. So let's see if I can put my chart up here, my chart paper. And right here, I have the color of our markers over on this side of our graph, and I labeled it. And then we have the number of markers at the bottom, and I gave it a title, and I just titled it markers. So the first thing we're going to do, what's our first color? Yellow. So we're going to take our yellow markers and put them on our object graph. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 yellow markers. What's the next color? It's purple. So let's put up our purple markers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 purple markers. And then we're going to put up our orange. We have 1, 2 of our orange markers. 1, 2, 3. And now we have our 3 green markers. So look, now we have a object graph. So remember those words. We took our data from our table and we put it and made it a object graph. Object graph. Good job. Are you ready for the next one? So with this graph, we're going to be looking at pasta, and we've used pasta before, I think. So we're going to look at our pasta, and I have a bag of pasta with just different color pastas in it. And so we're going to create our graph, but in order to create our graph, we need to collect what? Data. We got to collect the data from our pasta, and we have 3 different colors of pasta in here. We have some orange pasta and some yellow pasta and some green pasta. And green pasta is usually spinach. Yum. So we're going to create our table, which I've already started for us. I have orange, green, and yellow labeled here, so we can count how much pasta we have of each color, which means that we are collecting our data. So as I show you the pasta, shout out what color it is, and I'm going to mark on our table a tally mark so that we can know how many we have when we finish. Okay? So here's our first color. That's right, it's orange. What's our next one? Orange again. Yellow. Yellow. Orange. That's our green. Spinach. Orange. Green. Yellow. Yellow. My kindergartners are so great at knowing their colors. Orange. Green. Orange. And yellow. So now help me count them up. Help me count how many we have. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 orange. So I'm going to write the number 6 right off to the side there. How many green? 1, 2, 3. I'm going to write the number 3 there. And yellow? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to put the number 5 there. So remember these numbers, because remember, whenever we create our graph, we need to know what our numbers are. So right here, we have 6 orange, 3 green, and 5 yellow. So now I'm going to put our table over to the side here, and then I'm going to put our graph up so that we can start making our object graph. So now we have our graph up here, and I have labeled it. We have our side label for the number of pasta noodles. I have the bottom label with the type of pastas, and we have an orange pasta, a green pasta, and a yellow. And then I gave our graph a title, and I said pasta count. That's what I called it. So now we're going to put our pasta on our graph so that we can see what our object graph looks like with our pasta. Now we have all of our pasta on our graph. So now we have our pasta object graph completed. So we can look at our object graph with our pasta, and we can determine the data has been collected and organized on our graph. So Those are our object graphs today. We did an object graph with markers. We did an object graph with linking cubes. And now we've done an object graph with pasta. So now we understand how to create an object graph from a table in which we've collected our data, and then we can transfer it into our object graph. So that was great learning today. So that completes our object graph today. So that means that we have completed our focus of our learning goal, which was I can collect and organize data in categories to form a simple object graph. So we collected data, we organized it in our tables, we used different categories because we had different colors of things, and then we put them all in a simple graph. So we pretty much did a lot with our learning goal today. So now let's look at some practice. We'll know exactly what to do with our practice set that you can do on your own just to review what we've been talking about. So let's look at this picture. We're going to take the information from the picture to create our table. So we're going to focus on the table right here. So in our table, it tells us the shape and the number of each shape. So the first shape that we see there that has the blue and the green are called what? That's right, they're called rectangles. Rectangles. And then the second shape is called what? You got it, triangles. So let's count how many rectangles we have, and then we're going to put a mark in for each of the rectangles in our table. So here we go. Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 rectangles. So we have 6 marks in our table for our 6 rectangles that are in our picture. And then let's count our triangles. So how many triangles do we have? We'll start with the red ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 triangles. So now how can we answer our questions at the bottom? How many rectangles are in our picture? That's right, we said it was 6. So we would write 6 there. And how many triangles did we say we had? 7. So we would put a 7 there. So you're going to have a problem like that in your practice set where you're going to fill in the table and then you're going to answer the question. So you're going to have 2 questions like that on your practice set. So let's look at the next problem. Our marker graph. All right. So you're going to look at that picture of our marker graph. That's right. It's the graph we created. Excellent. So now all we have to do is answer the questions based on our marker graph. So let's look at our first question. It says, how many purple markers do we have? So let's count our purple markers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we would write what? 5. Excellent job. So now our next question is, how many yellow markers do we have? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 yellow markers. Now, this question, let's see. Which color has the greatest number? Do you remember when we talked about greatest, least, and same when we were comparing sets? That's right. So now we're going to compare things in our object graph. So we're looking to see which one has the greatest number. Let's see. Our yellow markers had 4. Our purple markers had 5. Our orange markers had, that's right, they had 2. And our green markers had 3. Exactly, 3. So which one of those numbers is the greatest? What does it mean when we say greatest again? It's the biggest or the one with the most. So which color had the most? You guessed it, the purple, because the purple had 5. The purple had 5. All right, we have one more question. Which color had the least? We just did the greatest. So what is the least? That's right, the smaller. So we're looking for the color that had the least amount of markers. So when we look at our picture, are you looking at our graph of a picture of our object graph? Yeah, that's right. It's the orange because it only had two. It only had two. So boys and girls, that was a way for us to look at our graph and interpret some of the data on it and answer questions. So you just learned how to create a graph from objects. You interpreted data by creating a table, and after you collected the data in the table, you are just doing great things. So what an awesome job today. I was super excited to share graphs with you today. I hope to see you later this week. Stay safe and keep working on your math. Bye-bye.